Barthos, he got fucked. He fucked a fucking horse and let his and gave birth to an 8-legged horse called Sephinir, and let his blood brother Odin ride it into battle every chance he got. It's like, you're telling me that this dude doesn't swing both ways? Come on, he fucked a horse, or they fucked a horse. Either way.
And welcome back to Broke Till Friday. I don't know the number they said. We should probably just stop saying the number of the episode, because I feel like in other podcasts they never actually say that in numbers. They
Yeah, I
just
actually
say,
never hear that.
yeah, I'm like,
Yeah.
we have to be consistent after like a little bit, but it doesn't matter. Okay,
Yeah.
Broke Till Friday. That was a good
That's
intro
fine.
too,
Broke Till
because
Friday.
it's a good intro. You'll see it. It'll be a good intro.
Yeah.
But yeah, Loki was pretty crazy.
Pretty
Okay, what
good.
happened in the last? Oh, well, we did see Lady Loki in the last episode, like
Lady Loki, yeah.
like
With
we
a
were predicting. Well, people were like, it's got to be Lady Loki. It's got to be like one or
I
the
didn't know.
other.
I knew the enemy was going to be a Loki. I didn't make any guesses as to whether it was going to be Lady Loki or, Demon Loki or whatever the fuck other Lokis are there.
Mm. Yeah, because I mean, it was showing a bunch of different Lokis. Remember all his like his variants and stuff like that. The ones that like one of them won like a soccer match. Some of them the World Cup or something like that, and then
Yeah.
the other
So
variants.
Loki isn't supposed to win the World Cup apparently, because that turned out to be a variant.
Honestly, my
Uh,
goodness.
oh man.
Let's see.
Da-da, da-da, da-da. Da-da, da-da, da-da.
No, we were gonna talk about something else. Fudge. I forgot what
Fuck.
it was.
No. Oh, I still ship Loki and Lady Loki.
Is that technically masturbation?
I think so. I think it's technically masturbation. You're masturbating with yourself.
Can we talk about Alexis being a whiny cunt to Jaden? You saw that clip?
That was in your mind. I saw the
Stupid,
video
yeah.
you sent, but I haven't seen it. Like, I saw you sent it. I didn't see it.
Oh,
So I have no idea what you're talking about.
All right, let me. Oh wait! You were supposed to react to the trailer on.
Oh yeah, the trailer.
For what was it? Again?
Motherfucking trailer. And dude, so much happened to me like this last week. It's like
It's been insane.
I don't even know where to start. Like,
Let me
what's calls it? I was watching this video on I was watching this video, and they were basically saying like that people naturally don't want to work. And I'm
course
just
not.
here like,
Nobody
I
dreams
don't
of labor.
think I believe that. I don't believe that. I don't think so. And kind of science kind of goes true. Statistically speaking, the thing that makes people the happiest over time is fulfilling work. People naturally want to work, but the thing is that the work that people want to do doesn't always correlate with the work that needs to be done.
But also, like, someone made a good post. They said, "Okay, would you flip burgers for $350,000 a year? Yeah, then it's not the job you have a problem with; it's the wages we have a problem with."
Yeah,
Which makes a lot of sense too, because honestly, if people were getting paid livable wages or pretty good wages, they wouldn't
Yeah.
mind doing the work, and you would hope they'd be treated a little bit better. But it's the stigma. It's the country stigma of like, well, that's a minimum wage job, so why do I have to treat them
unskilled
like
work.
people? Yeah, it's like, come on.
Unskilled. The myth of unskilled work.
I want to see you log into the interface and ring someone out in less than like a minute,
30
which is
seconds.
yeah, exactly, like they're taking orders, they're like okay, good. I want to see you look at the interface and not go, how do I order a Big Mac? Like, why do you think so
How do I
many
get on Facebook?
literally like so many boomers have problems going, but the touchscreen things at McDonald's are so hard. And it's like, oh, all of a sudden flipping burgers was so easy, huh? You piece of shit. No, you're
Yeah.
just being stupid. Like, seriously,
Yeah.
like if you can't figure out a touchscreen, how can you reasonably expect someone to be like, well, it's unskilled work, they're not actually even doing anything? It's like,
Yeah, it's fucking stupid. No, but like this wasn't this dude's argument. Like, Alex, this is podcast I watch. I don't want to say the name for whatever,
Mhm.
but he was basically saying it was really hard because it was watching him like run through conflicting ideas.
Mhm.
Because like even he himself stated that like especially through 2020, his ideas have gotten more extreme on both ends. So his lefty ideas have gotten more extreme to the left, and his right ideas have gotten more extreme to the right. And like he's like, there's just no center. And I'm just like, you're like having two ideologies conflict with each other, and you're not noticing the conflict like in between them. Because he's like, yeah, we should tax billionaires and shit, but no, we should completely leave the free market as capitalism how it is, because socialism is how you end up with Cuba. And I'm like,
Mhm.
bruh, you're not like Like even his
It's not
co-host called
clicking.
him out on it indirectly because like his co-host was like here in America and especially like in Texas and like y'all like every step to get to the monopoly, but then when you're at the monopoly, you're like, oh wait, how did this happen? You know, how did we get here? You
Hmm.
can't have that. You can't win it. It's like dude.
Yeah.
I think he said something like what did he say? I don't know, but I was thinking about it for like days after. I'm like, that sounds. You have no idea how stupid that sounded. Like, you probably didn't intend to phrase it that way, but the way you phrased it made it like made you just sound so stupid. And the rest, like, really smart dude, calls out scams all the time. But it
Hmm.
was just this one instance where I'm like, dude, come on. You gave yourself the answer, and you're still going against it because it doesn't feel right, rather than what the stats say. Because
Hmm.
like statistics show, fulfilling work makes people the happiest.
Hmm.
If when you give poor people money, the economy booms. You know, just giving people money, like poor people, makes them spend it because they have to buy house, they have to pay rent, they have to buy food, they have to buy utilities, they have kids, they have to take care of supplies, food, all this other stuff that they don't necessarily just save for.
Hmm.
And he's like, no, people don't want to work. Now people that get money just live off of it. It's like, yeah, you're gonna get a couple of bad actors,
Hmm.
but the stats show, like the studies show that giving poor people money just increases productivity all across the board.
Yeah, like there was even someone made a comment where they were like, give a poor person $600 and it's gone within the week. Give a rich person $600 and they turn it into like 1,200 or like whatever amount, like a bigger amount
Mm-hmm.
by the end of the week. And it's like, well, yeah, poor people are reinvesting that into the economy because they have to because they don't have
Mm-hmm.
any money. And then rich people, they don't need the $600, so they just invest it. And because they already have all the other connections, all the other money, it just stacks up and stacks up. Money makes money. So
And
once
even
you get to
worse,
that point,
they're probably
it's
offloading it.
self-sufficient.
They're not bringing it back here. They're not investing it here in
Exactly.
American companies. They're offloading it to offshore accounts where
Mm-hmm.
they won't be taxed for it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, come on, dude. You stepped on your own toe talking about this, and then just because you don't like how it feels, you decide to go against what the studies show and prove. It's like, come on, man. You're smarter than this. You're smarter than this. Get
Honestly,
good. Get good. Be smart.
yeah, I don't know. I think we're we're 10 minutes in
30
and we're
minutes.
already talking about 10 minutes in.
Eating the
We're
rich.
honestly, dude, man, it makes me so mad. Like one of my coworkers, she was like, "Oh, um, anyone." Every time I meet someone who's like an anti-vaxxer, anti-science person, or just generally like has conservative views, either they're dumb or they're rich. And I'm
Oh,
like, that makes sense, honestly, because like
or both, to be honest.
honestly, yeah, because they'll be like, oh, I got daddy's money and now I'm successful, and it's like,
No,
no, like, come on,
no, no, no.
it's stupid. But
It's like if your first job was just
in
I'm
your
gonna shoot
parents'
myself in.
restaurant,
I was gonna shoot myself in the foot right now because I was
yeah,
gonna say like if your first job is your parents' company.
hmm yeah, but that's
Well,
the
technically, it
difference.
wasn't my first job. Huh? I was a sign flipper first, technically.
That's true. But I was gonna say also, like, you guys have a small business. It's not like you guys are
Zero
like
employees.
exactly like you have a small business. You're working for it all the time. Basically, it's not like oh, my parents own a successful restaurant because
Yeah,
their grandpa came over here and blah blah. Like, it's like
yeah, yeah.
generational wealth at that point, and where they're like, oh yeah, now I
After
can
me, it's gonna be generational wealth. My kid.
exactly. We're hoping.
We're hoping,
That's the
man.
hope. Yeah, honestly, it's not even like generational wealth. It's just like I just don't want to be struggling. Like
Yeah, that's
because
literally it.
every time someone says money doesn't buy happiness, it's like, well, you've clearly never been poor before. Like
Yeah.
because honestly, like
Oh, okay.
being
Speaking of
poor
this,
gives more people anxiety than anything else. Anything else.
to be honest, anything. Like that's why Norway like it has like one of the happiest ratings because like everyone can make money basically.
Yeah,
They all have
opportunities.
like guaranteed minimum wage like for like livable wage basically. It's
Hmm.
like and all okay. My dad was arguing with me saying basically uh that that it's kind of stupid that Norway is like the happiest place on earth because happiness comes from inside. And I'm like, yeah, you can be happy, but if you have like $30,000 in debt, you're not going to be able to be as happy as someone that has a mansion in the burbs. It's
Yeah,
like your
because
upper limit to happiness is always capped and you're always shackled. It's like, and he's like, no, 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 that's not true. I'm
like,
like,
like in TV shows, whenever you see a TV show where something is not a problem, it's like that's okay. There I've seen TV shows where the writers are clearly out of touch and they just write shit just to make problems when there is no problems, right? Like there was this example in the TV show Reba.
oh no,
The two kids, they're finally moving out of Reba's house. Reba has her own house in Texas. It's like it's a gigantic house. Honestly, like it's a huge 2-story house, multiple rooms, multiple
Texas things are
bathrooms.
cheap there.
I mean, yeah, but that's what I'm saying, right? But it's still it's like 2005, whatever. Like they have a good housing market, or whatever, right?
Hmm.
And this guy saved for 2 years at a new job, and he was able to afford a down payment for a house, which is exact because they have no living expenses, because they don't pay rent, they don't pay utilities,
Oh
like all that's because they live at their mom's like.
yeah,
I don't want to say mansion,
mansion.
pretty big house, and it's funny how they constantly go, man, I don't want to live in this dump anymore, or it's like, oh my god, like the dishwasher's broken or something, and it's like, but those aren't even the problems I'm talking about. But this
Yeah,
one
yeah,
was, it's something that shouldn't even be a problem because they're deciding on move. They're like, okay, we're gonna move out. And the mom, Reba, she's gonna buy them furniture, right? She's like, just go out and you can guys just choose any furniture to help. That's this like my moving out present to you. I'm gonna buy you all your furniture, right? So wait. We haven't even gotten to the problem yet. So that's the plot of the story, right? She's gonna buy them furniture, and so the two people they go, the couple goes into a furniture store. The first sofa they see, the girl's like, oh my god, I like this one, and the guy goes and he's like, no, it's not very comfortable. It's not very comfortable. Like he's doing like a bunch of wacky stuff. People are laughing, ha
Yeah.
ha. He's like trying to sit on it, and he keeps sliding down. And he at the end, obviously his analysis. Let's say at the end, he's like, it's an uncomfortable couch. I don't like it. And immediately, the cunt she goes, oh my god, we can't do anything. Oh, I can't believe you don't want to choose this couch. And then she storms off, and I'm like, first of all, how the fuck is that a problem? If you want some sort of furniture in your house, the minimum it should be is comfortable. That's the
Yeah.
first couch you saw. Bitch, this is the first furniture store they've gone to. They have all the furniture stores. The mom, she wasn't like, you have to
They
choose
have
from this
IKEA.
furniture store.
IKEA.
Like, no, I'm saying like, she wasn't like, you have to go to this place and it has to be under this. No, she just said,
Yeah, no.
I'm buying you guys your furniture for your new house. And they're just making up problems because there's no problems there. The guy is privileged enough to have been able to make enough money in 2 years to buy their own house. The mom is giving them a bunch of furniture and they can't even fucking decide. Like this bitch, she was being such a cunt to him because he was like, well, it's not comfortable. Like he was being reasonable, as silly as he was being, because she's like, oh, you're not taking this seriously. He's like, no, I am. And he's like, no, I am, like it's just not comfortable, blah, blah, blah. But she doesn't even listen. She doesn't even bother to listen to him. She's so selfish and such a cunt. And she goes and she leaves and she's like, oh, this is such a problem, blah, blah. And it's like, in my head, I'm like, we've looked at one couch. We've looked at one store. Bitch, I'm 100% sure we can find one that is both comfortable, that is in the style that you like, and that we'll both agree on. The minimum you can do is agree with your spouse if you're going to be buying couches or buying anything for the house. Are you going to really buy something that one person goes, I like this, and the other person goes, no, I don't like it? Because obviously you're going to want to meet in the middle, right?
Yeah,
Even if you meet a little bit more on their side, as long as, like I said, for couch wise, as long as it's comfortable. But if you're uncomfortable, why are you going to want to buy a piece of furniture you're never going to want to sit on in the first place? And why are you freaking out when it's the first thing you've seen? She's trying to be like, oh, but it was such a nice one. It's like, bitch, this is the first couch you
There's
saw.
other nice ones.
There's not the end of the world.
This is such a non-issue.
Exactly.
This is
exactly.
such a
They're just
non-issue.
making up problems because they don't have any problems. They're gonna have a house. Their furniture is gonna be paid for. They don't have to worry about anything. So she just starts making up problems. Like, oh my god, I'm gonna get into an argument with him. Like, no reasonable person in their right mind would ever be as selfish or as stupid as that, going like,
No.
this is the one. This has to be this one. But it's uncomfortable, honey. I wouldn't like sitting on it. No, too bad. Meltdown. Like, holy shit.
That's such an unrealistic issue. Like,
and then on top of that, she left him at the mall. She drove off in the car, left him at the mall, and then it took him 6 hours to get back home because he had to take buses back home. Imagine being that much of a
who
cunt.
drives off?
Exactly. That's his wife, his loving wife. Right? I was like, oh,
How
like,
would you get together with someone that I mean, that legitimately sounds like an abusive relationship. That
Literally.
legitimately sounds like it.
And the craziest part is, this is at the end of the series also. This is like the fifth season. It's the last season. They're supposed to have grown. The whole point, the reason they got together in the first place was because he got her pregnant by accident when she was 17. So that was like the whole issue in the beginning. They got married. They got over it. They're being responsible adults. He's getting a job. He's being
What was the
serious.
show?
Reba. Reba. And it's like it's supposed you're supposed to be they're supposed to be growing, right? They're supposed to be growing. But instead she just melts down, leaves him there, and it's like a whole thing. And then it turns out she's just like, "Oh, I don't want to leave my mommy. We can't do anything. You saw we got in a fight." And it's like, "No, no, no. We didn't get in a fight. You flipped out and were a huge cunt because he didn't agree on the first thing you saw." Like it's such, like you said, it's a non-issue. How's
It's
that a
such a
problem?
non-issue. I've never seen this because I like okay, like there's a much better version of that. Like you said, the show, the premise is basically like that you get someone pregnant and
Well, that's one part of it. So like it starts out, Reba, she's getting a divorce, and then the mistress, like she's already been in the process of getting a divorce, and then the mistress along the way becomes her friend, and they're like talking. And in the beginning she really really hates the mistress because of course the mistress like basically split the family apart.
yeah.
And then the only reason that her husband married the mistress was because he also knocked her up. That was
Oh,
the thing. So yeah, exactly, like they were already separated, because they were having trouble, but then he knocked up his mistress, and then boom. And that's basically the whole thing. So you
the
see them
baby
growing.
burners.
Exactly, yeah. So
They're how do you call it? They're decomposable or they're biodegradable babies. Just burying
biodegradable.
them in the backyard. just bury,
Honestly, just get the
bury-
tax credit.
Yeah.
Pop out a tax credit every year.
Yeah.
Oh no, there's actually this really sad story of this lady that she had like ALS or something, right? So, some
Mhm.
autoimmune deficiency, and every time it would get really bad, like she would have a baby. So she had like 6 or 7 kids because whenever you get pregnant, your immune system really goes down, right? So obviously, like all of her symptoms or everything kind of basically went away. And then as she had the kid, she would have the kid and then be okay for like a year or two, and then it would start flaring up again. So she would just have another baby, and so she really didn't give a shit about the kids. She was just using them as like treatment.
Staying alive.
Yeah, it's like
Oh, that's
it's
oh,
really
that's fucked. That's
it's really
fucked.
messed up.
I hope they at least found like homes or some shit. Like, oh,
Yeah.
dude, that's some fucked up shit. That's kind of like not kind of like that's very different, but in a similar vein of it being fucked up. There was a lot of these people back in like the 1870 somethings or the early 1900s, like London, where they would like get payments for having kids, right? Like they would get assistance or whatever,
Mhm.
or and so what some women or men too, I guess, what some people would do, is that they would become mostly women though, because it was a caretaker role. They would like adopt the children
Mhm.
and then either murder them so that they wouldn't have to pay the expenses or
My
sell them
God.
off somewhere to make extra money, and they just pocket the money that they get from the government and then just because there was like no regulation, there was nothing like that, and it
Mhm.
I think there was like some weird legal loophole around where like as long as you don't get caught with the murder, like there was some weird legal loophole that
Mhm.
allowed them to like get away scot free basically. And there's some that racked up like kills of like 100 and something, 200 babies or some shit.
Fuck.
I was just like murdering them so they wouldn't have to take care of them
Dude,
and they could just pocket the cash.
speaking about
Oh
dead
no, okay, no, it
babies,
wasn't the government. I'm remembering a little bit more clearly. It was they got paid to take in the kid from the parents because the parents couldn't take it. Like they would have a kid out of wedlock or something like that. And
mm,
because that was such stigmatized, they would just give the baby away to like these foster homes basically.
mhm.
And the people there would just kill the baby and just take the money for adopting him.
Damn,
It's
that's fucked up. In what year was this?
and like the 18 somethings, 19 somethings, like early
Oh,
19
yeah, I was
somethings.
saying it makes a little more sense as messed up as it is,
Yeah.
but yeah, like they would sell their kids for meat in during one of the famines. I think it was like a Russian famine. Let me see. I believe 1921. Yeah. So,
We went from
hello.
eat the rich to eat the babies.
Honestly, let's see. Oh, a
The
woman
eat to eat
doctor.
pipeline.
Yeah, a woman doctor wrote to a friend in June of 1933. She had not yet become a cannibal, and but was not sure that I shall not be one by the time my letter reaches you. The good people died first. Those who refused to steal or prostitute themselves died. Those who gave food to others died. Those who refused to eat corpses died. Those who refused to kill their fellow men died. Parents who resisted cannibalism died before their children did. The Soviet regime printed posters declaring, "To eat your own children is a barbarian act." More than 2,500 people were convicted of cannibalism during the Holodomor. So yeah, it was a famine because of Soviet industrialization. Like that's like actual communism where the
Yeah,
state owns everything and
yeah,
people can't do much. They have no say basically, right? The state
yeah.
owns
No,
everything, and
like full
that's
blown communism is basically no different from full blown capitalism. Like
mhm.
they're essentially the same thing, just different people at the
Because
top.
either way, yeah, either way, there's
Yeah,
two forces. Everyone holds either A or B. They hold it all
yeah,
at the top.
yeah.
So
There's no difference between full blown communism and full blown capitalism. There's literally no distinction. It's just all flowery language disguising the actual underlying oppression happening.
yeah, let me see. Where was it? That was um. There it is, Boris Yeltsin. In 1989, Boris Yeltsin went grocery shopping in Clear Lake, and he thought it was fake. So he basically saw an American supermarket and he thought it was like
Uh-huh.
propaganda. Because like
Uh
you don't honestly you don't even think about it nowadays. But when you go
yeah.
into there, everything is stocked for the most part. Like food is lined on the shelves,
Hmm.
and let me see. So Boris Yeltsin, 1989. He was in. Let's see. Yeah, so he was saying like in Russia we don't have this kind of choice. Not even Mr. Gorbachev had this choice. So Gorbachev was the leader of the Russian world back then also. So it's like
Yeah.
imagine you don't have that kind of choice. A a person just working, a working class person has more choice in America than they do for the richest
Yeah.
person in Russia. Like
Yeah.
and stores were nearly on every street corner in
Yeah.
America. That fact itself amazed him. They even offered him free cheese samples because back then of course they just show you
Free
stuff.
cheese. Yeah.
And then so a 1989 Moscow grocery store basically looks like a giant warehouse. Oh my god, the food's like open and wait, let me share my screen so we can see this. I'm
Yeah, just
like,
share your screen.
because
I can
I
see
mean,
because I'm over here just like wondering like,
I'm like,
oh
whoa, it's
yes.
crazy. We have
Yeah.
technology, let's use it. Like every time we get
Yeah.
into a debate and we're like, what year was that? I don't know, 19 something, 90 something. Yeah, whatever. And we're like, wait, we have
Whatever.
phones. Look it up. Come
Dude,
on.
we're literally have access to information at the tip of our fingertips, and we just choose not to use it because it's too much of a chore.
Exactly.
It's too
Honestly,
much of a pain in the ass.
so what? You can hear the sound too, right?
Yeah, I can hear
But yeah, look at that. It's
nothing.
literally like dried food, a bunch of just
Yeah,
brown garbage basically, and it's I mean
yeah.
look how everything's empty. There's not really choice in meat and stuff like that. Look, it's
Yeah.
open and rotting, and there's no control. There's no
So
like
disgusting.
there's no FDA or anything like that because it's all by the
No.
state. The state can do what it wants.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
poor old babushka, she's just like oh my god, it's so sad, the old
Babushka.
ladies. She's like, I just want to eat, and they can't.
They can't. There's nothing. They can't eat.
And you know what's crazy? This is 1989. That lady could have been alive during the famine also.
Yeah,
Most likely
yeah.
she was. Most likely she was because
Most
1933.
likely.
That's about a 50-year difference. And look, they're all like,
Yeah.
there's nothing.
She would have been like maybe what, 13 at the
More
At
or
the
less.
youngest?
Yeah.
yeah.
Look, and it's like,
It's rotting.
let me see if I can. So everyone's yeah, they're all getting like rations and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I mean, yeah, it's like you have to give like your little coin for like cheese or whatever. Like, look at that.
Yeah.
It's like a factory basically.
Yeah, it's horrible. Like that. This is what I mean. Like, there's no difference between like full blown communism and full blown capitalism. It's
'Cause
all
imagine,
ends up like this.
Unregulated capitalism would 100% do this too, where they would
Oh,
be
dude,
like,
fuck yeah.
"Oh, you guys want meat that's fresh, you're gonna have to pay more for it. Why? We're not
You're gonna
regulated
pay
by
$1
the
million.
FDA. Exactly. We're not regulated by the FDA. You'll get whatever we sell you. It doesn't matter.
Dude.
Look at their faces. Everyone's so sad. Oh god.
Yeah, everyone's fucking sad. You also
like-
have to remember one of the reasons why we're currently still going good here in America is because during this era when this was happening in Russia, America was heavily socialist. Like people making over like in the $1 million range were getting taxed like at 92% rate. Like 92% of the bucks that they made after like a couple million were taxed basically completely.
And then Reagan fucked up everything.
Yeah, Reagan fucked up everything.
But it's like
the reason why we're able to enjoy still the same level of commodity is because it was heavily socialist. That's the reason why.
Like it looks like a food bank. That's basically what it looks like.
Yeah,
Like one little thing of
regular supermarket.
Drink and like. They're like arguing about stuff, and it's just like.
Yeah.
And remember, this is 1989. This is what, 30 years ago? 30? Yeah.
Yeah, 30 years ago.
30 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah,
This
my
is
dad was
not that
alive.
long ago. Yeah, this is not that long ago.
It's not that long.
In your head, you're like, oh, this is you know, this is.
It's got to be like 18 something.
No.
Like,
it's like, oh, it's the 1970s or it's the 1960s one where it's like, ooh, we're in the Cold War. No, this is 1989. This is like.
Look at the comics. Share the comments. See, I want to see the cesspool underneath.
Well, it's not that bad actually. There was like,
Oh.
they're just talking about how. Let me see. They're just saying like, well, that was eye-opening for the 1980s. The video quality is insane. Blah blah blah. Just the beginning of Half-Life 2. And this is central Moscow, which means it's among the best USSR had to offer. Because just going outside the city, or worse yet, to the republics, the store would seem like the Garden of Eden in comparison.
That is fucking
I was
awful.
there in Moscow in that time. This is an actual true actual video. I was among the people looking at empty shelves. I was like 5 or something. See? He was like
they were
5
there.
years old. God.
Yeah. No cheese in the city at all.
In the whole country.
Yeah,
It's like,
and this is part of what makes it bad because people see this and they're like, see, any communism or socialism is bad, and they fundamentally misunderstand the issue here. And the issue at hand is that no one entity can have complete control over over a sector like this. This is just this type of communism is just a monopoly in disguise.
mm-hmm.
And this is just what happens when you allow one person to do that. And but then they see this and they're like, oh, all capitalism must be good because communism is like this.
Mm-hmm.
And then you end up with Amazon having factory workers having to pee in bottles and ship us shit-stained products.
And then look, holy shit, look at this from 1971, 18 years before the video. 18 years before that video. Look, already from the front, you can tell it's fully stocked. There's no long lines. Look at that. You got candy in the front. Candy, just sitting there. For a nickel or whatever. 1971. Look. It's a good old American families.
Yeah.
Not a black person in sight. Those were the days. It's like that's the downside. But I mean, see, look at that.
Yeah.
Look at
Just
that.
racism.
Fresh fruit, fresh vegetables, fresh racism. Oh, that's a good title.
No, but you know what? Yeah, but you know what? That's a good point. Let's go from here. Let's go see to the places where, because segregation was still a thing in this time. Let's go to
Was
like
it
a
that big?
black supermarket.
In 1971? I don't know. Segregation was.
Wasn't it?
Let me fact check you while we're
Fact check
enjoying
me.
this. 5 pounds of oranges for 79 cents. That seems a little high, but I don't know.
1964. So it ended 4 years before this.
1964? 7 years.
Or
7
7
years.
years. My bad.
7
I
years
got
before.
the one hand correct.
Yeah, 7 years before.
7 years before. Wait, but that basically means that segregation was still like heavily socially enforced. 7 years isn't enough time for that sort of thing to change.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say it's not just gonna go away because maybe in 10 years it would start to be less of a thing. But I mean, as you can tell, there's not a black person inside. There's not a person of color in sight. This is pretty much like it's a white supermarket because you know the prices are probably higher than most like bodegas and stuff like that.
Oh, in 1970 to 1979, there was still segregation, like
Was
in
there?
transportation, or some urban areas. Oh, this is just off the wiki, just
Yeah.
quick Google.
But I mean, you see
Uh,
this, right? It's like,
yeah, and I see this, but like what I'm curious to see is at the same time in minority communities, what did their supermarkets look like? And I'm pretty sure it's not going to be this well stocked.
I
That was my point, basically.
I wonder if we can find like an El Super or something. Let me see.
Yeah. Like for like Hispanics and specifically for Black people, because as bad as we Hispanics have got it, kind of got.
Oh, El Super actually opened in 1997, so it's been a while. Actually, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of
No,
like
it would be
another.
fine. 1997. That's
I was born in that year.
yeah, literally.
Let me see.
So we're as old as El Super
Honestly, well, in Southgate at least, because
in Southgate.
Bodega Latina Corporation. Yeah, they changed their name
Yeah.
every so often in I think in Mexico.
Yeah, no,
Chedraui.
I'm pretty sure like in minority and underserviced communities, like the things aren't going to be that stocked. They're not going to be Russian levels of like deprived, but
Mm.
they're not going to be anywhere near as nice. They're not going to have be anywhere near as well stocked. Prices are going to be different. They're going to be a little bit more expensive. It's just it's going to be a completely different world.
Oh
It's going
wow,
to be like three different worlds.
the original El Super brand started in 1927. It was called Chedraui in
Chedraui,
Chedraui,
Chedraui.
Chedraui,
Oh, I
Chedraui,
didn't hear the R. I didn't hear the R.
Chedraui, Draui.
Chedraui.
Yeah, and it's in Mexico. Yeah, it's Mexico's third largest retailer after Walmart and Soriana. Soriana Groceries is like the other like big one over there. But you're right. I want to see a supermarket in Mexico.
Yeah,
Mexican super. Well, no, not in Mexico, but let's
not
see.
in Mexico. A Hispanic
Oh,
supermarket here in the States in 1970s.
Bode US Bodega. Bodega from the 1980s. Let's see if 1980s. We'll see. Bodegas living the dream. No, that's not it.
1970s. Minor-
Because it's really hard. Because that's the thing. No one's gonna have filmed one. You know.
yeah, no one's gonna film because it's not gonna portray America in a good light. It's just not. How
Living
like there's a article published recently how the rise of supermarkets left out Black America. Oh, there's a image. Oh, this is from this suburban boomed. Uh,
in,
had limited access to supermarkets. 17.7 of predominantly Black neighborhoods had limited access to supermarkets. So at least we know they didn't have access to those good ones.
oh my God! An article published 10 months ago by NBC. Why grocery stores are avoiding black neighborhoods. This is 10 months ago.
Still going on.
Honestly, it's let me see. I can't like I'm telling you, I can't. All of white culture has been preserved perfectly, but
Yeah,
you
and
can't
minority
find.
cultures haven't. It's just it's just the thing. It's like you lean too much one way, it's really bad. It gets really shitty. You lean too much the other way, it gets really bad and really shitty again. It's just there has to be a middle ground where you get the best of both worlds.
Let me
Like I'm
find the
trying to search through the
1980s.
images to see if there's anything.
Oh,
And no, it's all just white supermarkets and it's minorities working in the back.
I found a grocery store that has like Asian people in it and stuff like that from grocery store in the 1980s. But let me see if it's actually like.
Like
Oh,
an
San
actual one.
Francisco. It's from San. That makes sense because San Francisco has a
Yeah.
big Asian population. But the only reason they have a big Asian population is because of World War II.
True.
So they moved a lot of them to, I believe,
Uh,
something like that.
Yeah,
But
I'm only ever seeing like white supermarkets, not
I know I put supermarket 1980s, but I still you think anything from
like it's still like
1990s?
here's the thing. Like I'm not saying that a minority supermarket in the 1970s is going to be as bad as the communism one because
Yeah.
that's going to be demonstrably false. The thing is that it is going to be of lesser quality. The food is going to be lesser quality. It's going to be probably more expensive to shop there, depending on the items. Like healthier foods are going to be slightly more expensive. It's all this other stuff that's going to go into it. Yeah, because it's still bad. Like
Oh my
this is
goodness.
this is why I hate the the lesser of two evils thing, because it's like, oh yeah, we treat our minorities like shit, but at least they're not as bad as they would be in Russia. But it's
Yeah.
like you're
Well, you,
still treating them like shit.
yeah,
It's
like
like,
while that shouldn't be happening, this shouldn't be happening either. It doesn't
yeah,
justify it. Like when people are
yeah,
like, "Oh, there are people starving in Africa. You should be glad of your situation." It's like I understand it's bad, but you shouldn't try to diminish my situation just because you don't think it's as bad. You know, like
exactly,
let me see.
exactly.
Life in the
The
80's.
existence of something worse does not invalidate the struggles of other people just because it could be worse.
Mhm.
Because it could always be worse. It's like, oh shit, I stubbed my toe. Oh, you shouldn't be crying out in pain. You could have gotten your toe chopped off. It's like,
Yeah, it's like I have a cousin who's lost a leg. You're lucky, and it's like
yeah,
relax, man. Stop trying
that
to
doesn't really take
invalidate.
away the pain.
Yeah, it's like don't invalidate my problems. But I found Mexico in the 1985, and they're showing. It's a little bit blurry, but let me see. I mean, I was gonna say it's also a 30-minute video, so
Yeah,
I want to skip to the part where it shows the supermarkets because it's showing like or let me just show it.
yeah.
It's gonna be in
There's so,
Spanish,
so.
but yeah, it's like
Not to mention that there are times in America where even white supermarkets looked like the one from Russia, like
the Great
pre,
Depression and stuff like that. Yeah.
yeah. Like it's not like we're immune from
Oh,
that sort of thing.
let me
Like we
find
experienced it too.
let me find the Great Depression supermarkets.
Oh yeah, yeah. There you go. Or fucking what? Who was the guy? The Poison Squad guy. I'll look for the Poison Squad guy.
Great Depression grocery stores. You know what's funny? I don't think they're gonna have any like high quality.
Oh yeah, because it was like
It's
fucking
in
1876. Like,
survival lesson. Yeah,
were there even cameras in 1876?
1876. Let me see. Great Depression grocery
Oh, okay, here we go.
store.
The Poison Squad. It's this people because before this we didn't have FDA or anything to regulate what goes into the food. And so people weren't buying and store shelves looked shitty
Mhm.
because well, everything had poison. So, there was no control. And
Honestly,
it's
though.
this guy, and this dude was like a hardcore capitalist like Republican, and he understood like the benefits of adding socialistic safety nets to a capitalistic system.
Mhm.
It's like it's insane how like hardcore like capitalistic Republicans in the past would now be considered socialist. It's just insane to me that the political spectrum can move that
But
weirdly.
yeah, but I mean, because on dude, even think about it. Just like 8 years ago, the worst problem we had, let's say 2013, right? They'd be like, oh my god, Obama's doing this
The
and
war in
Obama's doing
Iraq,
that, and I mean,
bombings in Yemen.
barely even that, yeah, right. And now it's like half, no, the entire Republican Party is complicit in the coup that was done on the 6th. Like,
Yeah,
how do we go
it's
from?
magnitudes of size. Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it's funny because
Before we were
Bush.
bombing other countries, now we might have to bomb ourselves. It's a weird world
It's like Bush was the worst war criminal that we had so far,
so
and
far.
then the next one, and then the next one, and then the next one.
And
And
the
it's like,
next one, that's every president's a war criminal. Every president's a war
oh,
criminal.
of course. By
Every president's a
the
war criminal.
definition, of course.
Hot take. Hot take. Every president that we've had in the United States is a war criminal. From the founding fathers all the way down to Joe Biden.
I don't know about the founding fathers, because I mean, technically,
I mean, technically,
to
war
Britain
criminals
they'd be
didn't
war
exist then.
criminals, right? But
Oh yeah,
I'd
true.
say, outside of course, remember we got to remember, yeah, they owned slaves, blah blah. It's their times, whatever, right? It's like they were pretty. I want to say. I don't know if progressive is the right word just because of how progressive people can be nowadays, but it's like they were progressive for their time. So
They
remember
weren't
when,
even really progressive for their time.
well, because I mean, of course, what was it was like Washington owned
Because
slaves, but he
they're
wanted to let
only
them
they're only
go.
progressive for their time if you don't account the rest of the world. If you only count like the Western, like British,
Hmm.
Spain, America, like pre-United States, like the colonies. Yeah,
Hmm.
you could say they're progressive, but you're ignoring the rest of the world in that kind of thing. You're ignoring Japan, China. You're ignoring the Middle East, where there are a lot of countries, especially in the Middle East, where they were all ethnically like intermixed, and people had rights, and women could vote. You're ignoring the progressions of other countries. So they're only progressive because they're in a white centric world.
Mm,
You take them outside of that white centric concept of history, they're
mm,
not really progressive anymore. They're moderate at best.
mm,
It's really weird because especially here in America, we're only taught, oh yes, they invented democracy, and all this other crap. But
yeah.
they were really just moderates at best for their time.
Mm,
Like even accounting for like the change in time, it's still like this really warped view that it's this whitewashing of history where it's like the founding fathers, yes, they created the Constitution. And that's not to devalue what they did. They did create an institution that's lasted 200 years
mm,
on a compromise institution because that's what it was. It was a compromise between a bunch of different people and shit. But I mean, calling them progressive, I feel, is a little disingenuous to the rest of the world that existed at the time. It's
mm.
like, they did achieve great things, but so did Voldemort. Voldemort did achieve great things
I don't know about that, but I mean, you know what I mean though. How it's like they wanted a better lives for themselves and they fought for it, blah blah. But
for people who own land, for
it,
men who own land.
I was gonna say straight white men that own land,
Yeah,
because they got
exactly.
together and like we're tired of this. But like
And not even that. The initial thing, it was to try to avoid taxes. That was the original reason. And
well,
most of them
taxation without
had
representation. That was the
is the
thing.
thing. Not all of them didn't have representation. A lot of them did in parliament.
Mm-hmm.
But they still didn't want to pay the tax. They wanted like a lot of the early founding fathers, yeah, like the person who signed first and Thomas Jefferson, all of them, they were all about the taxation without representation stuff. But a lot of the people that joined the bandwagon later, who were literally just like, we don't want to pay tax, you
Mm.
know, we don't want to, like George Washington, all of them, yeah, that was all their shtick, the taxation without representation. But
Mm.
like the famous people, basically that we know, but there's a lot of companies that supported them later on who just supported them to try to get out of paying taxes, and that's why later on when Hamilton starts, like, oh, we have to run a country, we have to get money and stuff like that. He was faced with a lot of opposition, especially in particular with like the whiskey tax
Mm.
because he was trying to tax like alcohol and this other stuff, especially in like Virginia, where Thomas Jefferson was from. And they were all getting mad because they were like companies were getting mad because they were like, hey, 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 we paid you to create a new country where we wouldn't have to pay any taxes at all. This is what capitalism is about.
Yeah.
And there was that whole issue there with like that tax and other taxes that we're trying to import. And it's like, well, yeah, it's great, and we got to give them representation, but they still got to pay a tax.
Mm.
They can't just you know make all this money without paying back into the community.
Yeah. Well, I don't even remember what my point was. Something
I
about,
don't either, dude. I don't even remember what I was talking about, dude. Like, I'm so hungry.
and that's why supermarkets. And that's why something about supermarkets and minorities. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Those gosh darn minorities always gumming up the works of the white man.
Honestly.
Dude, someone's gonna take that out of context. I already know someone's gonna take that out of context.
I mean, obviously they know it's a joke, but it's like
Yeah.
yeah, it's just I was also still trying to find stuff from like supermarkets and things like that, but of
Yeah.
course, like you said, no one's gonna now. They don't even have it for like Mexico, like a Mexican supermarket. It's just like home
No.
videos and stuff like that. Because yeah, like you said, it's a very U.S. centric world and very
Yeah.
white people history kind of world. So
Yeah. You go from like Greek or Greece to what is it, to like the England or the Europe kind of area, and then to like the Americas, and then that's it. It's like you completely gloss over the fact that many like the Spartans got defeated many times, and like how the ideas of democracy that happened in Greece were like improved upon in the Middle East,
mhm.
and how like the way Galileo was able to do all this stuff was because Arabics had already charted out like the maps of like the sky and all this other crap. Like really standing on shoulders of giants, and they just like history just negates all of that. It's like, what do you mean? What do you mean? Democracy was invented in Greece, and then we improved it here in the United States, and that's all that happened.
Yeah.
No one else had any input into what should be done or how it should be done. It's
My point is tax the rich.
Tax the rich, yeah, tax the rich.
That's,
Just give them. If you make above like, I don't know. I'm not a political theorist. I'm not an economist. I'm not a big brain, syphilis style giant brain looking motherfucker. But uh, how do you call it?
just tax them.
Uh,
Just tax them.
just tax them. But after a certain point, after a certain dollar amount, just
Yeah,
tax them.
it's like after they've made $1 million, tax them after everything.
Yeah,
Or
tax them.
I think that someone suggested if once they're every dollar made after 1 billion is automatically taxed at like 100%, and then
97.
or no, well, because honestly, remember how long it took us to spend $1 billion?
Yeah, yeah.
No one
You
can
can't
really
burn through a
spend
billion.
you cannot like, and then or it's like the value added on the transactions or tax and stuff like that. Like remember how
Yeah.
Andrew Yang was saying that, so
Oh
that
yeah,
way
to tax the transaction.
so that
That
way
was a good point. Andrew Yang is fucking so
it's good.
far removed from someone that like understands what's going on in like poorer communities. But that was a really good idea he had.
Yeah, because think about it, you can if you tax the value that Amazon's added onto their net worth and stuff like that,
Mhm.
you can get a lot more. Because obviously, you can say Amazon's net worth is like 1 trillion or whatever. And it's like, well, we
But
don't have
most of
any
that is in liquid
cash.
cash.
Yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
sorry about that, fellas. We don't have any cash. We've actually been running out of loss. Whoopsie daisy. I guess we can't do anything, U.S. government. Can I get a bailout, please? U.S. government, just give me a little bailout. I need
I
a
just need what was the last Amazon bailout? Let me see.
list of Amazon bailouts.
700 billion. No, I'm just
Fuck,
kidding.
seven hundred and
That's just a
fifty
bug.
million dollars
Yeah,
shows
750 million.
a subsidy, or wait, no,
Oh no. Oh well, it's not for Amazon. It's for Jeff Bezos. Senate preparing a $10 billion bailout for Jeff Bezos' space firm.
exactly. Why the fuck are we gonna give his space from $10 billion when his
What
workers
has the
can't
space
even?
firm even done? Like, what technologies has it invented? What's his space? Blue Origin is called his space firm. Blue Origin. A quick Wikipedia search will give us like a rough idea of what they've done at all.
Let's
Blue
see.
Origin.
What is the point of Blue Origin?
Yeah,
Bezos indicated that he founded Blue Origin to send customers into space to decrease the cost and to increase the safety of human spaceflight. Cool. So rich people shit. That's what I'm hearing from
rich
this.
people shit.
Nothing
Yeah,
that you think the average person's gonna be able to afford this? Of course not.
no.
Of course not. Like, yeah, SpaceX is like testing rockets and things like that, and they can then sell those patents to NASA or anything like that. But this one is literally a commercial, a privately funded aerospace manufacturer and a space flight services company.
I just don't understand. Like they've done literally basically nothing.
Aims
They
to
they've
make
done a couple
access
of rockets.
aims to make access to space cheaper and more reliable through reusable launch vehicles. That's not doing anything for like people, Like
Yeah.
I don't want to sound ignorant, but I like
Well, okay, because space travel is necessary. We do need to innovate that field because eventually we need to spread out off planet Earth. But I mean,
that's
we gotta first try to fix here as well. But even more than that, I'm not seeing anything special that this company is doing, like adding to the field of innovation for this sector. Like
mm-hmm.
I'm on their Wikipedia, and I'm not. Maybe I'm just too stupid. That's also a possibility.
Or
Maybe
maybe
I'm
they
just
haven't
fucking
released the
retarded.
patents or something.
Yeah, or maybe they're hiding something in secret. They're working on it in secret. But based off of like what I'm seeing, a general timeline of what they've gone through and what they've worked on, what they put money into, I'm not really seeing anything different from like what SpaceX is already doing or what NASA is doing.
And
Like I
NASA,
feel that $10 billion bailout would be better served in like a NASA, like as a government grant to NASA.
or imagine if you switched $10 billion of funding to the public sector and like got schools funding and stuff like that. Like,
Oh yeah, that
let me see.
there's there's a billion other ways, but if we want to say like, oh no, this is still necessary, we need to fund space travel. Let's go off that premise. NASA would be a much larger investment.
Oh,
Even I'd even go for SpaceX, even though that's fucking shit too.
dude,
Like,
dude. The Biden-Harris administration submitted to Congress the president's fiscal year 2022 budget request of $752.9 billion for national defense. Can we cut that in half, please?
Yeah,
Can we
cut
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 that in
that
half?
cut that to a quarter. Like, okay, like there's some radical people that are like, we shouldn't need an army whatsoever, and I'm just like, okay, you're kind of dim, aren't you? Like, we have to have some sort of army. Like, that's But you know what we don't need? You know what's not needed? Repeat that number back to me, please.
$732 billion in 2020.
We don't need $732 billion to go into the military. We really don't. We really don't.
There's
We don't need
something.
that much money. If half of that, $100 billion would be more than enough for like a good military to keep it standing. A good, technically speaking. Hey, you constitutional like literalists. Hey, guess what? The United States is technically not constitutionally allowed to have a standing army. It's illegal. It's against the Constitution for the United States to have a standing army. The
Wait,
only
why?
thing that is a navy. Because, like I
Huh.
said, it's a compromised institution. It's the Constitution is literally a compromised institution because the states didn't want the overall nation to have that much power over them, so they agreed it so long as the nation didn't have an army. But the nation was like, well, I still need to be able to defend myself,
Mhm.
and so they were like, okay, you can have a navy, you can have a standing navy, and that's it.
Oh
You
my
can't have a
god.
standing army.
The U.S. Damn. The U.S. in its $1 billion of spending is 39% of global spending on global. So we're literally almost we're basically, let's just round up 40%. 40% of the world's military is the US's, basically, or spending wise. I don't
Yeah,
want to say spending wise, but I'm trying to see list of countries by military, because
we're
LAPD
more than double our closest competitor, which is China. If we cut our spending in half, we're still going to be
still beating them.
way above them. It's like, come on, come on. Like,
So
the only people, and China doesn't even want to go to war with us. China's entire operation of suppressing Western ideals isn't via military, it's via capitalism. They literally use the basic ethics of capitalism to suppress the United States because we can't go to war with them because we owe them too much. We'll never be able to go against them. Companies just love China because of its like $1 billion population. Like, you think Disney's gonna support the United States if it goes to war with China? You think Disney's gonna do that? You know how lucrative the Chinese market is for Disney?
a lot.
A lot. They're not gonna do that shit. You think Amazon is gonna do that? No, they're trying to get in on that sector too. Like, what? No, the basics of capitalism makes it so that foreign enterprises can manifestly change the laws in another country because of the companies that exist in that country.
Mhm.
It's I don't know. It's basic economics. You get taught this in like economics 101. It's and then like I get mad when people can't connect the dots. It's like if A and B are true, and if A and B are true, D must be true.
Mhm.
Like you have this standard right here, and then they're like, oh no, A and B are true, but they can't lead to C. They can't lead to D. It's not possible. It's like, what other conclusion is there? It,
Honestly, it's like I was looking at the the education spending by state, and I was actually surprised because K through 12 spends $612 billion annually,
Mhm.
K through 12 schools in the U.S. But the way it's spread out is very different. So in California, on average, 12 it's like $12,500 that a public school spends per student, right? And if you compare that to Idaho, 7,800. And then if you compare
Mm.
that to where's that, Delaware or something? There's this I think it's Vermont, $24,000 per student. So it's almost double of what California spends, and it's almost 4 times as much what Idaho spends. So it's like,
Mhm.
if you find a way, like, of course, like I said, you can cut down the military budget. Oh, how much is it to take away all of student debt? How
It's
much to
under a
make
billion, I think, or like
free
it's like, oh, I think 1.2
college?
billion, something like that.
How much to make college free? Tuition free college would cost. Let's see. Damn you, New York Times! I'm not buying your. not buying your stuff. Let's see. So he
Oh,
said
1.5 trillion.
1.5 trillion.
Yeah,
I'm reading 750 billion investment over 10 years, but
over 10 years. Yeah. Uh,
point
it
is,
would cost the government around okay, so for just the loans, not to make it free for now to forever, just to get rid of all the currently existing loans, it would cost the government in the ballpark of 938 billion.
I mean, honestly, if you cut military spending in half, you could still do a lot. Wait, how
You
much
could
for free?
cutting it in half and then just pushing that onto like onto student debt, you get rid of it in like 2 years because this is an annual military budget. In other words, they're getting this amount of money per year. So in like 3 years, spread out the payments of the debts, even accounting for new every year people graduate, they incur more debt. Even accounting for that, in 4 or 5 years, you'll get rid of it if you
Hmm.
cut the military spending in half. It's just insane the amount of money that you can do just by cutting military spending in half. And you're not even losing your top spot as like the dominant military force in the world. That's what's insane about this. You can cut it in half and still be the strongest military there is.
Oh my goodness. So under the current law, private health insurance costs 1.28 trillion dollars, right?
Mm-hmm.
So current law, 1.28 trillion dollars out of pocket. People pay almost 400 billion. Medicare costs 800 billion. Medicaid costs 623 billion. Other health spending is 576 billion, right? If
Mm-hmm.
you do Medicare for all, it would cost 2.76 trillion. So it would actually you would save where is it? Where is it? Where is it? They would spend. It would reduce out of pocket costs to about 117 billion versus out of pocket 397 billion.
Mm-hmm.
So it's almost like one third, right? But private health insurance companies, there was this one story where someone was like, "Oh man," they were at a hospital and they were like, it was like they charged for skin to skin contact. They
Yeah.
call it skin to skin contact after handing the mother their baby. And they charge for that because they know they can charge health insurance that. And there was
Yeah.
another one where someone was like, they were in the hospital and they were like, "Oh man, I have a really bad migraine." And the lady was like, "Oh, do you want a pill?" And she was like, "Sure." And she gave her like a Tylenol. And they charged like $20 for stuff administered to patient, blah, blah, blah. And it's like,
Oh,
what?
I saw one where it was an ace bandage.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like it was some ludicrous amount, like $200 or some shit for one ace bandage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. They can just charge because they can abuse the
It
system
was
because it's a bad system.
yeah. Here we go. $600 for a ace bandage.
$600. Jesus.
Jesus fucking Christ, dude.
Like, yeah,
For ace, dude. I
abusing
literally
loopholes.
get ace bandages at the fucking 99-cent store. Like, bro, like if I'm in a hospital bed and they try to charge me like $600 for an ace bandage, I'm like, hold on, let me hop over to the 99-cent store and buy you guys a brand new pair of ace bandages. Cause fuck
Literally.
no, bruh. Dude, oh, fuck, I'll go to the fucking CVS, pay a premium, buy a $6 ace bandage. Like, bruh, no, this shit wild. This shit too wild. Mm-mm, 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 mm-mm.
Stupid. Cutting the defense budget would translate into thousands of jobs being lost in each state. Man, fuck you. Find another job. That's what everyone
Bruh,
says.
yeah,
If you can't find a job, just find
yeah.
another one. Just find
Yeah,
another one.
just find another one. Just find another one. It fits perfectly with Republican ideals. Just find another job.
Pull yourself
Like
up by your bootstraps,
it's
snowflake.
because they know it's fucking bullshit. They know it's fucking bullshit. That's why they're like, no, you can't cut military spending. You can't cut military spending. We can't tell you why, but you can't cut it. You can't do it. You can't do it. No. Mm-mm. Fucking bullshit. Oh, also, when it comes to the education budgets, you also have to watch out to which ones are going to charter schools because a large portion of the budget might be going to charter schools, and those shits are fucking scammy as hell. Like, there's a couple of good ones. Like, there's one right here that I do jobs for. Like, I do print jobs for. They're called Teach Tech. They're a good or they thus far have been a really good charter school.
Mm.
Like from what I can tell, from what I hear and see and talk to, when I have to go over there and what my dad tells me, because he's the main one that goes over there. Like they're a good charter school.
Mhm.
But there's many more charter schools that like have classes at the park because they can't afford a school building anymore. Like they're just like in the public park, and they're getting like fucking $12,000 or some shit, or like $1,200. I don't know. They're getting the normal rate of like of school per student that everyone else gets too, and they're
Mhm.
not buying 12, yeah, here in California, $12,000 per student, and they can't afford a fucking building because the administrators are just pocketing it all because it takes nothing to open up that. It's like, oh, dude, and people are gonna say, "See, this is the issue with public schooling." But guess what, you fucking cunt? Charter schools are private. They're private enterprises run like
And
companies.
they shouldn't have gotten any funding in the first place.
Yeah,
Bastards.
fucking dude, this pissed me off. Like okay, so I love these episodes where we just rant all the time because they're so fun to make. Like, because we're just ranting shit.
Mhm.
But I hate them when I have to edit them because there's no place for me to put a fucking joke. Like I can't, like, how am I gonna add a fart sound effect when I'm like, yes, there's a systemic racism where
Wah,
most
wah, wah.
charter schools are destroying African American communities by systematically depriving them of education, while the administrators reap the benefits of the spent income of the education button.
Oh, you. Honestly,
Like,
but
there's just
oh
no
well.
way for me to put a joke. It's just it's like, oh yes, Loki, bisexual. Also, the destruction of African American communities. It's like
Every time. Well, I think that's broke till Friday. I think we've gotten to the point where we're just ranting at the end and we're just like,
yeah.
eat the rich. But yeah, we like to end every podcast the same way: eat the rich. Eat the
Eat the
rich.
rich. Eat the rich.
We're broke till Friday. Goodbye, my friends. We'll see you next week. Now I'ma go and beat my meat. And we're broke till Friday. Goodbye, my friends. We'll see you next week. And now I'ma go and beat my meat. And we're broke till Friday.